Hi everyone, and welcome to Victoria's Cantina. Today we're having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars Original Trilogy Collection Sandcrawler from 2004. Here's a look at the packaging. The Original Trilogy Collection has been my absolute favorite packaging that Hasbro has come out with in the modern line, and I think that this packaging here incorporates a very nice look for the Sandcrawler. Alright ladies and gents, so it gives me great pleasure to do this review. The Sandcrawler is one of those things that I had been after for a very long time. I saw it when it was initially released. This was a previews exclusive, and I saw it at Hot Topic, of all places, which was really weird, back around that time, 2004 or 2005, and I can't remember the exact price. This was MSRPing at $60 when I saw it at Hot Topic. It may have been $60 or it may have been $80, I'm not quite sure. But in any case, even at $60, that was quite a hefty price to pay for this vehicle, especially given the fact that it's not very big. So at the time, I opted to go ahead and pass on it, which probably wasn't the best thing to do because this thing ended up skyrocketing in price shortly thereafter. And even now, it's pretty expensive to pick up on eBay. I'm not going to lie, I spent a pretty penny to acquire this thing. But hey, I think it was totally worth it. This Sandcrawler is actually a repaint of the vintage Sandcrawler, which, believe it or not, you can get loose samples of, in many cases, cheaper than you can this modern repainted version. But hey, that's just a testament to how cool this is, I suppose. I'm a huge fan of vintage Star Wars, and so, I think it's pretty cool when they bring something from the past back. Even if it's a little bit different. In this case, the sculpt is 100% identical to the vintage release, with the exception being that there's no wheels underneath it. The original was a remote control version, and of course this one is not. The sculpt itself, and as you can see here on the back of it, is really nice. What they did here with the paint is they gave it a very nice highlighting and wash compared to the original, which was just a solid, very plain burgundy color. So this is a case of Hasbro going back to reuse an old vehicle, and with simply using some new paint and some new deco, they were able to make it really, really nice looking. So even though this is a very simple vehicle, the paint kind of makes it appear to be more than it actually may be. So as you can see here, the paint is very nicely done. There's different shades of brown, and some blacks, some browns. It looks like they just kind of took a brush and kind of just, did a little bit of coloring on it. So in that regard, it looks quite nice. The paint, I think that's really the highlight of this thing. If you compare it to the original, which I don't have, otherwise I'd show you the differences. You'd see that they really utilized paint, as the key component in making this vehicle stand out from the original. Alright, so the Sandcrawler has a few cool little features. They're all very simple features. They're the same features that were included on the vintage version. First thing I'll show you is that there's a little door right there. And it just opens like that. As you can see, the inside is very plain looking. The coloring actually looks a lot like the same color of the vintage release. There's a little ladder that they included here. And it's the same ladder, again, that came with the vintage vehicle. And very simplistic, and it attaches, you can kind of just put it like that to kind of give it the illusion, your jaw can sort of crawl down it. And, you can kind of just plug it here, like this. You just kind of snap it in. It's not the best fit, it kind of tries to bounce off, but you're supposed to be able to seal it like that, but as you can see, it just falls off. It's not the best of features. The other feature I wanted to show you, let me just kind of press that shut, is the cockpit area. You can also open that by opening this hatch, and you get an inside look at the cockpit, which no stickers, no much of anything. There's a little bit of a bronze kind of look, with a little bit of a wash to it. But other than that, it's very, very plain. There's really not a whole lot going on in there. If you want to just stick your Jawa figures in there. You can kind of just put them in there, just like that. So there's not really a whole lot you can do with them because there aren't any pegs or anything, so they basically just stand there. And going back over here and just kind of turning it like that, you can kind of see over to the cockpit area. There's your Jawas in there. I'll go ahead and open this front hatch back up, let a little bit of light in. You can see there's a couple of sets of stairs, just kind of so you can add a little bit of playability to it if you're going to do that. And you can set your Jawa there and give you a look at the back. Again, there's not a whole lot to see in there. You're basically just the plastic is almost a little bit translucent where you can kind of see some light shining through. Very plain inside, very, very plain inside. Now, one of the cool features of the Sandcrawler is that there's this little sliding door. It's a trap door. And initially, back in the vintage days, that's where your batteries and electronics went when this was a remote control vehicle. Nowadays, you can just kind of put whatever you want in there. For example, I saw another video on YouTube of this vehicle, and I'm going to steal their little idea. If you have any of the Build-A-Droid parts from the Legacy Collection, you can kind of just toss them in there. That way, when you open it up, you see your Build-A-Droid parts in there, which is kind of cool. Makes sense. The Jawas are scavengers going around the desert looking for droids, so it would make sense for them to have some spare parts for fixing and rebuilding them and such. Alright, now the final feature on this Jawa Sandcrawler is a little elevator, and that basically replicates what we saw in the movie where R2 was sucked up into the Sandcrawler. It's not a very good feature. I mean, I love the idea of incorporating this actual feature into the vehicle, but just the execution is a little bit poor. You can see a little tab right there, and basically you kind of have to hold it in so you can push the elevator out. Now, the easiest way to do this is to turn the Sandcrawler around, and the little tab that I showed you back on this side, what you want to do is kind of hold it in and push down on the elevator. Just like that. I know it's a little bit hard to see, it's dark in there, but you do that and then the elevator itself comes out, which okay, I kind of don't need it to come out all the way, but it does. So we'll turn it back around and show you a look there of what it looks like when the elevator is extended. And we will grab a droid. We'll grab R2-D2. And let's see, maybe he fits in there, maybe he doesn't. I haven't tried it with him yet. Yeah, it doesn't look like this R2. Well, actually, he might go up there. You just push it up. Nope, he's not going to go up there. We'll have to use. We'll have to practice with one of our Jawas here. We'll just put him in there, and we will push up, and you'll hear it click once that tab gets back into place. So you turn your Sandcrawler back around, and I know this is hard to see, guys, but you have to twist the elevator like that until your Jawa comes into view, and voila, there he is. For figures, you get an RA7 droid. I believe this is a repaint of a Power of the Force 2 figure. Very simple, as you see. Not a whole lot in the way of detailing there. He has a bit of a wash over him just to kind of make it look a little more metallic. It doesn't look bad. Very simplistic figure. He has a swivel at the neck, swivels at the shoulders, and very stiff swivels at the hips. The two Jawas we get are repacks of the Power of the Force 2 individually carded Jawas. Now, in the original Trilogy Collection back in 2004, Hasbro did repaint these figures and made them look a lot nicer. They kind of gave them like a darker coloring, so it's kind of a mystery why they didn't just stick those ones in this pack instead. Given that they came out at the same time in the same exact line, but I guess we'll take what Jawas we can get. pretty simple figures. There's been better Jawas since then. These ones had the pretty cool light up port feature on the top where, you kind of just shine the light and their eyes sort of glow. Articulation on both the figures is the same. You get very stiff swivels at the necks, swivels at the shoulders, and then one swivel there at the hips for the bottom half of the character. And here's just a little look at what you can do. You can stick your R2-D2 and C-3PO figures in there along with RA7 and whatever else you want to put in there. There's a lot of droids that Hasbro's come out with that you can stick in there from this scene. So yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. You can just kind of stand them in there and they can do their thing. There's no pegs once again in there, but they seem to be standing pretty well. And we have our Jawas right there. One's about to load up and the other one's kind of signaling over to the other. If you have the other droids Hasbro has released from the Purchase of the Droids scene, as well as Luke and Uncle Owen, you could create that scene from the film, which is pretty cool. I do happen to have all those droids, but I don't have them handy at the moment. Otherwise, I would do that for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Hasbro Star Wars Original Trilogy Collection Sandcrawler from 2004. All things considered, this is a pretty nice vehicle. I know most people nowadays probably wouldn't find it all that great. Me personally, because it is a reissue of the vintage version of the Jawa Sandcrawler, with an all-new, very nicely done paint scheme, I find it to be very charming. Yeah, the features are very outdated and very simplistic. If Hasbro were to make a new version of the Sandcrawler now, like a much bigger version like they did with the AT-AT or the Millennium Falcon or the Slave One, I think they could do something really awesome. I don't really see them doing that since this isn't a very action-oriented vehicle and it's not something we've really seen a whole lot of in the more recent films. So unless it features pretty largely in one of the next Star Wars films, which is pretty unlikely, I don't see them going back and, making a whole new version of it. If anything, they'll probably repaint this again, maybe update the features. So if you're a fan of A New Hope, and I am, it's my favorite Star Wars film, and, you like the stuff that goes on Tatooine, the Jawas, the Sandcrawler, R2 and 3PO, Purchase of the Droids. I love all that. And so I really, really enjoyed this collectible. And even though it was quite expensive on the secondary market, I don't have any regrets about buying it. I enjoy it quite a bit. And if you're like me and you kind of have the similar taste, then you're probably going to enjoy this quite a bit. Thanks for watching Victoria's Cantina. Until next time. Bye-bye.